All right, let's dive right in. Welcome, facilitators, to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking what is easily one of the most critical, highly relevant, and honestly, most engaging modules in the entire Finland Zambia curriculum. We are talking about the Phase 3 project, FinTech and Fraud Detectives. You are literally about to equip your students with the real-world tools they need to actively protect their communities from digital financial threats. So, let's get started. So, I want you to imagine something. Why would a genuinely smart person just send 5,000 kwacha to a complete stranger? It sounds completely absurd, right? But this is exactly what happened to Susan Chembo. She's a woman in Lusaka who sent 5,000 kwacha to a number she completely believed belonged to her uncle's clearing agent. Well, it wasn't her uncle. It was a sophisticated impersonation scam. And this project, it's all about helping your students understand that fraud isn't about victims being foolish or naive. It's about scammers being incredibly sophisticated. And that sophistication often looks exactly like this text message. It says, "Dear customer, you have received ZMW 190.00 from 7797-16617 Kapesa Febi. Dial star 778 hash to check your balance." This is a completely fabricated SMS. It's the classic wrong sender scam that we see all the time in Zambia. The scammer sends this, calls the victim up in a total panic, begging for a refund, and the victim, just trying to be a good person and help out, ends up sending their own real money. We absolutely need to immerse your students in these everyday realities right from the jump. To prepare your students to dissect and actually prevent these scams, here is our game plan for today. We'll cover 1, the Zambian fraud landscape, 2, the psychology of scams, 3, Step 1, researching cases, 4, Step 2, digital safety guides, and 5, peer critique and reflection. First up, the Zambian fraud landscape. The sheer volume of money moving digitally right now is just staggering. According to Zikta data, mobile money transactions in Zambia hit 105.6 billion kwacha by the end of 2022. That is a massive financial ecosystem. And when you factor in the roughly 8.6 million mobile money users, well, this represents an unbelievably lucrative target for fraudsters. It's simple, right? Where the money goes, the scammers follow. And let's be clear, they are operating on a massive industrial scale. Just consider these figures from a 2024 raid at the Golden Top Support Services compound right in Lusaka. Authorities arrested 77 people, seized over 13,000 SIM cards, and found 11 SIM box machines. We tend to picture a lone hacker in a basement somewhere, but actually, these are highly organized, sophisticated syndicates. Getting your students to grasp this scale really helps them realize the true severity of the threat they're stepping up to investigate. Moving on to part 2, the psychology of scams. So based on Daniel Kahneman's Nobel Prize-winning work, we fundamentally have 2 ways of thinking. System 1 is fast, it's instinctive, and it's highly emotional. System 2 is your slow, deliberate, and rational brain. Scams are entirely designed to hijack your logical system too. By creating a sudden sense of panic, extreme urgency, or even wild excitement, fraudsters force their victims straight into System 1 thinking. And before the victim can even pause to logically evaluate the situation, the money's gone.
These psychological biases are the direct fuel for specific Zambian scams. Take herding or social proof, for example. If someone sees everyone in their church or community group suddenly making money in a pyramid scheme, they just jump right in, completely ignoring the massive red flag that there's no SEC Zambia registration. Or look at optimism bias. That comforting belief that a mobile money scam won't happen to me. That exact bias is why people ignore basic cybersecurity, like creating strong PINs. You need to teach your students to spot these specific, real-world biases in action.
All right, part 3, Step 1, researching cases. Here's how this actually plays out in your classroom. Over a 1 to 2 week period, you're going to divide your students into small teams of 2 to 3. Step 1, they research a real assigned case study. Step 2, they present an analysis of both the fraud itself and the psychological bias it exploited. Step 3, they design a highly targeted digital safety guide. And Step 4, the whole class critiques and reflects on the work. It's entirely hands-on, and it immediately positions your students as the detectives. Now, you'll need to guide your students to ground their research in actual reality by using primary sources. We're talking Zikta fraud alerts, Bank of Zambia press releases, SEC Zambia advisories, or local reporting from places like the Times of Zambia. When they do their 3 to 4 minute presentations, they must pinpoint exactly how the scam worked functionally. Was it a SIM swap, a fake job offer, and exactly which psychological bias made that victim vulnerable? Next up, Part 4, Step 2, Digital Safety Guides. So, they take everything they've uncovered and create a one-page digital safety guide. But here's the real kicker. It has to be perfectly tailored to a specific demographic. You'll assign them a target, maybe a rural market grandmother, maybe a grade 12 student, or a first-time mobile money user. This constraint forces the students to radically adjust their language and tone. Ask them, hey, is this simple enough to be shared as a single WhatsApp image or explained quickly in a voice note? Because if it's too academic, it literally won't protect the people who need it the most. Finally, Part 5, Peer Critique and Reflection. Take a look at where the heaviest weight is placed in this assessment rubric. While case study research and bias identification are both important at 25% each, guide actionability takes the top spot at 30%. And that is because the ultimate test of this entire project is practical, real-world application. Could a non-literate person in their own community actually understand and use the advice in their guide to protect their hard-earned money? That has to be the standard. And then we bring it all home with a powerful closing reflection. Have every single student complete this sentence. The most important thing I will do differently with my digital finances after this project is, this guarantees they leave the room with a personal, actionable commitment. But I want to leave you with a question. As these scammers upgrade their syndicates and tactics every single day, are we upgrading the financial defenses of our youth fast enough to stop them?